Hello there, and welcome to the most sensual movie podcast in the world, Socks on Movies. I'm your host, Matt, and I'm here with my host, Jack.
So we went from being the number one movie podcast in the world to now the most sensual. How,
I
how
just
did
I
that
thought
happen?
I'd mix it up.
Okay, all right.
We're still number one, but
Of course, yeah.
yeah, there's other things too. And today we're talking about the new hotness on the block, Obsession, directed by Curry Barker. And me and Jack actually got to see this together yesterday. It's fresh on the mind. But before we get to that, we should chat about some other things. I do feel like I need to kind of close the loop on our last week. We might put this out of order because this is a newer movie,
Yeah.
so like might push it up. But last time we recorded, the Knicks were about to sweep the Sixers, and then they did sweep the Sixers. So I just want to kind of clarify that, or not clarify, but just kind of double down on that my Joel Embiid hate was not only warranted but proven correct, and being the reason he doesn't get to make another conference finals does mean a lot to me as a hate watcher. But I'm also very happy that the Knicks are moving on and nervous for their next matchup. I just want to see them in the finals.
Yeah, it would be great to see them in the finals. Feels like forever since we've seen Knicks basketball. It's been like 5 days since they finished off the Sixers, and I'm just craving to see the next game, no matter who they play. So hopefully, we can get that soon, and we can move on to the finals.
Yeah, I mean, by the time this comes out, we will know. But as of right now, we don't know. The game six is tonight.
Yeah, I
Tonight,
think so.
yeah, yeah, and the Wolves Spurs game six is also tonight. But I don't know what else is going on, man. You came to New York where
Yeah,
we had a game night the other night. That was pretty fun.
yeah, we been able to hang out a couple times this week, so it was cool.
Yeah.
We actually this is the first time we're recording since our first episode has been out. So we finally went and did that, and been
That's a good
getting
point.
some good feedback and listening to it ourselves. Definitely has become a little bit more real, and yeah, we're just excited to keep releasing episodes, and who knows what order they'll be coming out in at this point.
Yeah, yeah.
This one might end up being, sooner than some of the other episodes we recorded, but um, yeah, it's official. We're podcasters.
We're officially podcasters now, which is very nice. Yeah, my some of my other friends and other people listen to it, and good feedback so far. I definitely feel like the first one was our roughest, so I feel like it's getting good feedback is good because it's only up from there.
Yeah,
Um, trying to think, I had something
I
fun
got
to
I got
say.
a new mic now.
Oh, okay. So that's what I was gonna say. If for anyone listening or like watching, they'll see that Jack has the purple microphone. So what happened is I didn't actually give him that one. I gave him the green microphone, and then he accidentally took the purple
Oh,
microphone.
really?
Yeah.
Whoops!
No, it's all good. I mean, there's not really a difference, but that's the one I've been using. Um,
I didn't even
and
realize.
and then so when I was like, wait, where's my microphone? Did Jack forget to take it? Or like I see the green one here, and then I was like, he took my microphone. So now I'm rocking the red
Okay.
microphone, um, which is
Yeah,
so
that's my
just
bad.
no, it's all good.
I just
That's
took the one that was on the counter that I saw as I
I think
was
you like
leaving.
dropped yours, and then yeah,
Yeah, I must have
because
put it
I
down in
saw it like on the
the living
floor, and
room.
I was like, all right,
Oh yeah, because when we were taking the pictures, I put it
yeah.
down
So
so we
I'll
were
edit
holding up our Blu-rays.
I'll edit one of the pictures and at least one on the video right here. Look at us hanging out. There we are.
Yeah,
That was a good time. And then so yesterday we saw Obsession. And yeah, I don't really have any other like silly things to talk about today. I don't know if you do.
no, we could just get into it.
We
Yeah,
just get right into it. So yeah, I didn't know a ton about this movie going in. I feel like this happens a lot where there's kind of like concurrent horror movies coming out where I kind of hear about them and I have trouble kind of parsing which one's going to be the good one or not. So it was Hokum's the other one that's like coming out right now, and I think to more mixed reactions. As the time of recording, I don't. Neither of us have seen it, or you saw it.
Yeah, I did see it.
You
Yeah.
saw it. And I might see it soon. I don't know. Maybe we'll touch on that at some point. But
It's
did you
good.
like?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's solid. I wouldn't say it's like a must watch or anything, but
Yeah.
it's pretty fun. It's kind of like a, haunted house vibes kind of film, and Adam Scott's pretty good in it. There's a couple other characters that are fun. It doesn't do anything really spectacular, but it's pretty eerie at times. There's some jump scares.
Okay.
Yeah, if you're looking for a fun,
I have
weeknight
such
watch.
a I will see it at some point, I think, but I have such a hard time picturing Adam Scott in a horror movie. Like even in Succession where like there's like horror adjacent stuff happening
Severance.
occasionally.
Yeah.
Severance, yeah, yeah. I like he's such a goofy face. I don't know, like
Yeah.
he just has like a goofy look to him where I don't know if I can like I mean I'll get past it, but I just see his big old head and I'm like, there's Adam Scott.
I think the movie plays into his persona pretty well. He's kind
Okay.
of like a rough around the edges character who's like kind of a dick. And once stuff starts going, he's kind of like, a little panicky, a little like
Yeah.
looking around, like I don't know what's going on. Kind of like how he is in Severance, but yeah, I don't know. It was a decent performance by him, but nothing too crazy going on with that movie, I don't think.
Oh, you know what I watched the other day? That was pretty good. Benedetta, the
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I haven't
the
seen that.
Paul Verhoeven lesbian nun movie. Good movie. I've been trying to like watch like not all of Paul Verhoeven's movies, but like a lot of them. I feel like I've seen enough of them where, and I've enjoyed. I think every single movie of his I've seen enough where I've just been trying to kind of catch up on some. And so like I saw, I don't know if I've mentioned it at all in the pod, but like I watched Elle recently a few weeks ago, which is like from 2016. I think I mentioned it when we talked on our first episode, actually, maybe about like Emma Stone because Isabelle Huppert was like nominated for an Oscar the same year.
Yeah.
But like that's a good one. And then this is just like wacky movie, but it was like hot. It was erotic, but it was like interesting. It was like what I didn't realize I was listening to something else. Paul Verhoeven is like a Jesus scholar,
Oh,
but like
interesting.
he's a Jesus scholar in terms of like the man he is, like or like was like
It's a
as like a
historian.
kind of as like a political character. He wrote like a whole book about Jesus apparently, and he's like tried to make other Jesus movies before. Um, but this movie takes a lot of like interesting creative liberties with that um, type of story, and it's on Netflix right now. Definitely recommend checking it out if anyone wants something that's like erotic, but also like kind of like fun thriller, kind of playing off a lot of the like tropes of the church, especially like the Roman Catholic Church and like a lot of the hypocrisy going on there. I liked it quite a bit. Verhoeven's so interesting. What a guy.
Yeah,
Um,
definitely no stranger to eroticism. Um, I remember watching Basic Instinct earlier this year or late last year, and I was just like, "This is the most horny movie I've ever seen," and
it's a
it's
horny
just like
movie.
it's insane. But
Have you seen Showgirls?
no, but I saw that is it's on sale. Like the 4K is on sale somewhere right now. I was like looking at it. I was like Paul Verhoeven NC-17 movie. Sure.
That is a horny movie.
Yeah, I don't know if I want to put that one on my shelf quite yet, but
That that movie, I don't know if it's good or not. The problem with that movie is like I don't know like if you take all of Verhoeven's things seriously, like or like his satire, like how he's a very much like a satirist, or just like really good at like analyzing things, you would maybe look at Showgirls as like a parody or a satire on movies like that. But it's kind of hard to tell while watching it, and at face value, I think a lot of it like doesn't work.
Hmm.
But it's like deeply interesting and strange and like it's like horny but it's not hot
Interesting.
really. I don't know, it's interesting. It's like shot really well. It has like bizarre performances. Kyle MacLachlan is in it. He plays like
Oh my
super
god.
horny producer. It's a wacky movie, but anyway, we're here to talk about Obsession, which we saw yesterday. We saw it in a packed theater. I feel like it had a really good audience reaction from the movie. And I'll give it up to you first, Jack. Just some first impressions before we get into it. Some quick first impressions of Obsession.
Yeah. So I had sorry, um, I this has been on my radar for a while. So I tried to go in as blind as possible, um, and I ended up really liking it. I think we went with our other friend Mitch, and I think we all had a good time.
Yeah,
Um, Definitely a lot funnier than I thought it would be.
for sure.
Played really well with the crowd.
Yeah,
The atmosphere that was kind of looming over the whole movie of just like this tense dread and like just a terrible situation for everyone
yeah,
involved kind of just like creates this really uneasy feeling, and it sticks with you throughout the whole runtime of the film, and even afterwards we're kind of just like that was nuts. That was like a crazy trip. But yeah,
yeah,
I think it's definitely one of my favorites of the year so far. Definitely my favorite horror movie I've seen in a while. So yeah,
yeah.
it's definitely a recommend for me.
I agree. And like, I guess if we're talking about movies this year, 28 years later, The Bone Temple, it's a horror movie, but like a different type of horror movie.
Yeah,
I think I like that movie more as like a movie. Maybe I was really into that, but I really liked Obsession. I think this is like a really good movie. I was telling Jack yesterday, but like this is the first time I've been like genuinely like freaked out, kind of scared in a horror movie in like years. Like Skinamarink was probably the last time, which is like such a specific weird type of horror that
yeah,
really got under my skin. Um, but in terms of like a non like super experimental movie like that, like just a more, standard horror movie, this is the first time in like a very long time I was actually like scared from one of them. I felt like it was incredibly effective and like understood exactly how to like elicit a lot of fear out of things that like I think a lesser filmmaker or like lesser script kind of would have taken to be a little too easy. I thought, and it was. You're right. It was funny. It was like very unnerving. It was gory in the right spots. It wasn't, and it. I was telling you this too, but it's a very one note story on paper.
yeah,
Like if you see the trailer, it's a lot of what the movie is. Quite honestly, like there's not a lot more to it in terms of like plot, but it's just so effective at like keeping you gripped and like keeping you entertained the whole time. Like I was very, very impressed.
yeah. Like I think the atmosphere that it creates and just like the tenseness that you feel throughout um, is really effective. I don't know that it like really scared me too bad. I guess the sort of things that really scare me in a horror movie are either like really intense gore or like jump scares. There's not a
Mm,
lot of jump scares in this film.
no,
The horror is really just like in a couple of like unsettling scenes, but for the most part it's in just the tense, you know, creating just these two characters that are kind of like stuck together more or less, and we'll get into it, and it's
We'll get
just
into
like,
it. Yeah.
yeah, it really just like makes you uncomfortable. And then there's a lot of, yelling and and parts where you're kind of just like taken aback by like, oh, okay, we're just dialing it up now, and it gets really intense in certain spots, and yeah, it definitely gets your blood pumping a little bit.
Yeah, I think that's just where I'm at in terms of like what scares me is jump scares don't really do it for me. Like they'll get me in the moment, um, but they don't linger with me. And I think for me, the lingering horror comes from being really unsettled by something and feeling that kind of like long tension,
Hmm.
um, and like feeling like I have like almost like been there before somehow, or like I can see myself there in some way. And we'll get into specifics later. I don't want to get into spoilers yet, but I think that's why a lot of times these horror movies are harder for me to kind of get into. But like kind of this unknown feeling, and I think the way the movie treats it like a haunted house or like an unescapable house, really,
Hmm.
um, is what really kind of gets me in a lot of this movie, and I think in other movies. But some context for the movie. Curry Baker's a first-time feature filmmaker here. Um, so I'm going off the Wikipedia page, by the way, just in case someone can tell me I'm wrong. Um, so I looked up a little bit about him last night. I'm gonna put a picture of him right here. Just Curry Barker, funny looking guy, a little bit. Like he just looks like a like a sweet silly guy. You wouldn't think that a guy like this would be making like a genuinely upsetting horror movie, but good for Curry Barker. So I don't know if you know this, Jack. This film was inspired while Curry Barker was watching an episode of The Simpsons,
Which is very bizarre, but really funny.
where Homer gets a monkey's paw, which causes a bunch of chaos. I mean, a classic monkey's paw. I mean, like Jordan Peele's company is called Monkey Paw. Like
Yeah.
this movie is very much a monkey's paw film. So in 2023, Barker wrote and directed the horror short film The Chair, uploaded to YouTube, and film producer James Harris of T Shot Productions was impressed by the film and reached out to Barker to adapt the short into a feature, but Barker pitched him this movie Obsession instead. Um, the film, let's see if there's anything actually worth. It had about $1 million budget. It says here. I don't know if that was actually more when they made it. But not a crazy big budget, but still a budget. It took about 8 months for Barker to complete the script. And then it seems like it kind of went rolling. It was filmed in August 2024. Um, and there was a lot of auditions that took place, but eventually they landed on Indy Navarrete, I believe is how you pronounce her name. We'll get into her later, but a lot of thoughts on her.
Hmm.
She seems like she was more the first person they cast, and then Michael Johnson, who plays Bear in the movie, also hated that his name was Bear. We'll get like it's like Bear, but he was cast after a chemistry test. And then this movie also, I think it played at Toronto. It played kind of
Yep.
small at Toronto Film Festival, kind of got some buzz there. Apparently, there was an NC-17 version of the movie that played at Toronto. That I don't. Maybe we'll get it on like a Blu-ray one day. Um,
That's interesting because there's not really like a ton of sexual conduct, really.
okay, so it's the scene in the car.
Okay.
It was cut down.
Okay. That makes
So honestly, it doesn't change that much. Like to be honest, but um, and Barker served as an editor on the movie too, which impressive for a first time movie. Um, yeah, so I guess let's do a little not spoiler talk, and then we can get into more of the kind of spoiler plot stuff of this movie, and we can get maybe the early plot. But let's start with the character that we see first, Bear. You know, I think I was really impressed by his performance because I see the trailer, I see the picture, I'm like, this is like a good looking, normal looking guy,
yeah.
like nothing particularly like weird about him, but I think he gives a really specific performance in terms of like playing like not an incel, but just like a really awkward guy that can't like deal with his like feelings for
Yeah.
Nikki. And I was increasingly impressed as the movie went on, even though he's not the most impressive performance.
Yeah, definitely not. But he is solid. He is giving this kind of like nice guy, shy, quiet person persona, and he does it pretty effectively. And at times when he needs to be, a little more excited, he gets there. But yeah, I think overall his character is kind of interesting, and I've been seeing a lot of things online about the reading of his character, and we can get into that as we get into more
Yeah,
spoilers. But
I definitely have some thoughts. The more
def-
I've like sat on it.
yeah, definitely like an interesting protagonist. But yeah, I think the real star here is Indy Navarrete, who plays Nikki, the main girl in the film, who gets this spell cast on her. If you've seen the trailer, but
It's the whole movie. It's what it's about.
pretty much. But yeah, she's absolutely incredible. Like I've
She's
not
so
stopped
good.
thinking about her performance and just
It's ridiculous.
all the beats that she hits. She is really funny. She's really sweet and kind of like girl next door vibes when she needs to be. And then she's like totally insane and an absolute scream queen when she needs to be. And
Yeah,
it's just
100%.
a huge balance in performance. And it's not really surprising that they cast her first, because I feel like without nailing that character, the whole movie falls apart.
100%. And like it she blew me away. She
Yeah.
absolutely blew me away. Like probably my favorite performance I've seen this year. I'm gonna be thinking about it for a while. I'm gonna have it on my list of best performances for a while for
Yeah, I
now.
think I will too. It could definitely see it being there at the end of the year.
Yeah, at least for me, I hope it's a performance people keep in their minds, because it's like genuinely like a difficult thing that she's pulling off here. And she's really good in the beginning at playing like a very modern kind of like
Hmm.
cool girl, but who's like, kind of knows the guys are into her, but like plays it off really cool. And
Yep.
like, she has a specific energy where it's like she knows how to like toy with people, but not in a way where it's like she's like really messing with them. She just seems like a genuinely like she is like a cool, chill person, but obviously like, you know,
Yeah.
she seems to know deep down that I think this guy has something for her, and is like kind of ignoring it just because she doesn't like want to deal with that.
Yeah.
Um,
We find out a little bit more about that later on in the film, but yeah, in the
I think that informs a little bit of how she acts a bit, but I think, you know, truly just like plays that role in the beginning very specifically. Like you're like, oh, this is a person like I would go to the bar and meet or hang out with, or, you know, I think their friend group is kind of funny because I think so it's like four of them:
yeah.
Bear, Nikki, Sarah, and Ian. And Ian, he's a little, what's the word term I'm thinking of? He's a little out of place, but I don't dislike his character at all. I think it's just funny in the context of when you first see them together at the bar for trivia, you're like, this is a weird friend group, but then you realize they all work together, and you're like, okay, it like makes more sense now that they would
Yeah.
like all hang out together. I think because he specifically, it's funny because he doesn't look like he'd be friends with them, but he's like such a chiller.
Yeah. He's interesting, yeah. And like the first scene you see him in, I was like, is this I had the thought of like, is he like doing a good job acting? Like I don't know. Like it's rare that you go into a movie and you're instantly kind of like questioning the performance, but I ultimately think he does a good job. But
He
there's
has
some
a very
scenes,
specific like role in the
yeah,
movie.
and he plays it pretty well. But there are some scenes where you're kind of like, did they just pull this guy off the street? I don't know. And he is Curry Barker's like longtime friend and collaborator. I think like back in their YouTube days. So he's, a guy that Curry really trusts, and I think he's ultimately good in the movie. But yeah, it's kind of like a weird character. And their friend group dynamic is a little weird. Like
Yeah.
you can kind of believe them hanging out together, but they all work together too at this like music store or something, and it's kind of like
I'm just like, how can
I
they
don't know.
afford to hire 4 people to work at the store?
That was a thought that I had as well. Is like, how successful is this music store? I don't
They
know.
have 4 employees for like a store that doesn't seem like that busy. But yeah, no, I think they like the atmosphere set early is like pretty good. Like the first scene. So the first scene I think is funny where Ian is like sitting at the counter, and Bear is like monologuing to this girl who you find out is the waitress. And I think it's funny how in the begin, like when it starts, I'm like, why is like he sitting there and they're sitting at the counter together? Like it's like no one does that. And then you realize, oh, she's like a waitress, and he's like waiting for her to finish to go back to her seat. I feel like he does this a lot in the movie where not that like not for crucial moments really, but you kind of be like, what is this relationship? And then you're like, oh, okay. Like you realizing that like Sarah is the daughter of Andy Richter's like the boss, or you're just like, oh, that's the boss, or like, oh,
Yeah.
they're not dating, like Sarah and Ian. Like little things where it's an interesting way he writes, and it's a little distracting at first, but I think it's fine. But I kept thinking about it where he keeps doing that a bunch in like
hmm
at least the beginning of the movie.
Yeah, I think they're trying not to explain a lot of the dynamics and kind of just let it play out.
Yeah.
But at first, you're kind of like wondering what's going on. You're like, oh, are these guys like best friends? He's really like Ian's really helping Bear like articulate his feelings for Nikki and practicing on this waitress, and he's like coaching him up. He's like, oh, you got to do it. Like you can't, keep, waiting for something to happen if you don't, tell her how you feel. And then you find out that they're actually just coworkers, but I guess they're still pretty close, and that Nikki's also their coworker. And then you throw in
But also they
the
went
other
to high
girl.
school together. They went to school together.
Yeah, did that. Yeah, I guess they slipped that in there as
Well, because
well.
Freaky Nikki.
Freaky Nikki, yeah, her nickname that she doesn't like. So, yeah, there's some dynamics at play that aren't fully explained, and I think you had the same thought too, that you thought Ian and Sarah were a couple at first too,
Yeah, they
because the
had
way they
that
were talking
energy.
about it was kind of like, oh, like you and Sarah have to like go somewhere else while I
Yeah.
talk to Nikki, and it was kind of like, okay, they're together, they're talking
They,
about them like they're a
and
couple,
and
but they're not.
and then you realize like a few minutes later, like, oh, they're not actually at
Yeah,
all. Um, no, should we? I guess maybe I feel like it's hard to talk a lot about certain things in this movie without
yeah,
getting
we're
more
we're
into
getting into the
spoilers.
beginning a little
So
bit.
maybe we'll say right here, we like it. Go see the movie.
Yep.
Really good, really effective. But we're gonna kind of move through the plot now. So if you don't want to be spoiled for anything, just kind of pause it, come back. Hope you enjoyed the movie, and if you do that, welcome back to. I hope you enjoyed seeing the
Hey,
movie. Hey, glad.
missed you.
Hope missed you. Hope you liked it. Hope you got spooked. Um, so one thing before we get into it, I do want to touch on is I like the scene. Okay, so first, actually, so they go. He gets home after the diner, and his cat's dead. Um,
Yeah, which
and at
upset me
first,
greatly.
I was like, yeah, I didn't love that. I was like, oh, that's gross. And I was glad it actually the cat was dead, because I was like, if it was a fake out, I would have been really annoyed. And I'm like, I don't want to be in like a
Yeah,
fake out type of horror movie. And I feel like it established that like, no, this is like a grosser movie. Um, but so he's crying, he's all that stuff. He's sitting on the bed looking at her Instagram, Nikki's Instagram,
as one does, just
as one does when you're
checking out
down bad for
her
someone.
pictures.
And then she calls, and he has a little smirk on his face.
She FaceTimes him, right?
FaceTime. I think it's a call. I don't remember.
Yeah, but either way, it is kind of surprising. I think at least I found it surprising that like this is their dynamic, that she's just like randomly calling him at night. I don't know how late it is, but he's like in bed, and she calls him, and she's just like,
Well, you find out it's not that late because his cat died that night.
yeah. And then he ends up going out to trivia right after, but it kind of establishes their dynamic as like, okay, they're pretty close friends, or at least they like hang out together outside of work. She's calling him and talking about, her day at work and stuff, and it's like she's not just like some coworker that he barely knows and is like afraid to talk to. Like, they're friends.
They're very close, and she clearly is like a caring person and like sees
Yeah.
a lot of good in him. But like, that's all she wants to just be really good friends. Like that's all she's kind of
Well,
seemingly
so it
interested.
seems at first. We don't know yet.
It's like that's like at least the vibe we get. And I will say, like, in terms of um like Bear's like character, like that little smirk he gives and like the way he's acting towards her, like I was very impressed by that. It felt very natural and like realistic to like how a guy like this, who's like, his cat's dead, his cat is in a fucking garbage bag in the other room, and he won't even tell her. Like, I think he's so afraid of like being vulnerable or anything, or disrupting whatever this is. You know she loses her necklace, and now that's more important than you know the cat thing. And I feel like in a sense that's almost maybe why that this relationship would never work, is because like he steps on eggshells around her instead of finding a time to actually be vulnerable with her and like really talk about something that he feels like. No, he's only thinking about like her in that way, instead of like, I want to confide in my friend or someone I care about that's something sad. And even like the pity angle, like he's not even considering that in terms of a guy who's like actively like trying to pursue this girl. He's very much just like, my shit doesn't matter in my head to even me or to you or anyone else. And it takes Sarah to say something, who you realize you learn soon actually kind of cares about him and might have feelings for him to say something. And I feel like that's very telling early on about kind of the dynamic of these characters.
Yeah, it hits early on this theme that kind of stretches across the rest of the movie, is that, is Bear like really in love with Nikki, or is it kind of more of a infatuation, kind of an obsession on his part? Like, does he really like her for her, or does he just want her to notice him? And so when, there's an opportunity for him to be vulnerable, he doesn't take it. But when there's an opportunity for him to try to do something for her so that she'll appreciate him, like replace her necklace or buy her a gift or something, he jumps at that, because he doesn't care about how, you know, she can help him, and they can be two people together. It's more so just him wanting her approval or her attention or her love.
Totally. And he, oh, totally blanked what I was gonna say on that part. But I agree. He like does not handle that stuff like particularly well at all. And remember what I was gonna say now. Thank you, Curry Barker, for getting through that part of the movie quickly, because it was so excruciatingly painful to watch this guy be like so awkward in front of Nikki. Like it was like
tough.
it was like watching like nails on a chalkboard. It's
It's like,
necessary to the movie. You need it to happen, but like thank God it was brief.
even though like we know that he likes her, it just seems so obvious. Like, he just can't even form sentences in front of her, and he's
Yeah.
just so like unsure of himself. It is pretty hard to watch at times. Also, I have a question about the cat, if we could go back to that for a second.
Yeah.
So the cat, I guess, gets into his pills,
Somehow, yeah.
oxycodone or something.
Yeah.
One, why does he have that? And two, how did the cat get into that? Like, I don't know, just kind of some
You know,
nitpicks maybe.
I think part of that is, in that beginning monologue when he's talking about like, I forget exactly what it is in the beginning. Someone dies, and that's part of I think why he likes Nikki so much too. Is like, is genuinely very attentive to him and like puts a lot of effort into him. Like she's calling him. She's like the first one. He said like she's the first one to call him when like his grandma died or something. Like there's a lot of things where clearly she is someone that puts effort in for people, and I think he notices that, and like the fact that they have this close friendship now. Like it's not like she's just a girl
Yeah.
or they're just friends. Like they are very close, and she clearly cares about their friendship. But I think there's something in there maybe about how he is like has depression or something. And oxys are specific though. I don't really know why. Maybe they're from. There might be a date on there. Maybe they're from like his grandma
Yeah, I
or
think they
something.
were from his grandma because I think the name on it was like Barbara or something.
Yeah, so I think that's that he just kept all these like pills that she had in like the house he
Yeah.
like lives in.
Chekhov's oxycodone.
I thought that 100%. I was like, oh, those
Those
have
are
to
coming
be.
back later.
It's funny because there's that, and there's a Chekhov's gun where they mention a gun at the store, and I was like, oh, they brought both back.
Oh yeah, I forgot about the gun, but
Yeah.
that makes a
but-
reappearance.
So thankfully we get through a lot of that stuff quickly, and then I think we start getting into the meat of it. So like in that car ride when he drops her off, just excruciatingly painful to watch, and he has all these moments to confess, and obviously he doesn't, because why would he? He's a chud, and I think she does a really good job here of just like, I love the part where it's like, hey, Sarah's into you, like that feeling of like the girl I like is telling me about another girl that likes me, and now you're realizing all the complications of this friend group. We're like, there's another very nice and pretty girl in his friend group that actively likes him, but he's into this girl who is, not attainable.
Yeah, there is kind of a moment there in that scene though where I think it's after that, and then maybe she asks him, "Do you like me?" And there's like a moment where you're like, "Is it possible that she likes him?" And she's just waiting for him to make the first move.
Yeah.
Well,
Well, it's after he says "Freaky Nikki" and she gets mad at him.
True. Yeah. Okay.
And so like it just feels like when someone studied the night before but they just skimmed it, so like all the stuff his friend told him, just like he's just taking parts of it and like the wrong parts and stuff, so he's just like miscuing everything, and then just like, okay, good night, Freaky Nikki, and she's like, the fuck, dude, like.
Which is such a funny moment because you're just like, oh no, don't say that. Like that's not what you wanted to say, and
It's
you
how
just
are
kind
you
of
so awkward.
yeah. He doesn't know how to act around her, and it's really apparent in that scene. But yeah, I was still kind of questioning at one point. I was like, is there a chance that she likes him?
I think the movie does a good job of like making you think that that's a possibility in the moment, and that like
Yeah.
he's maybe squandering this by not saying anything.
Yeah, and you really want him to just like be honest, and she gives him the opportunity, and he still is just like, oh no, we're good friends, and she's just like, okay, good, bye.
And so then he takes his one wish willow that he got from the store. And shout out the crystal store employee; she was funny.
She was cool.
She had bad vibes towards him, and you learn, justifiably, I guess, in the end. And he snaps it. I appreciate this movie just being like, you know what, wishes are real in this world, and you call the number, and they're like, yep, they're real, and you just kind of move on from that, because I think my thought going in when I at least saw the trailer was like, okay, this fucking game thing, it's real. You just gotta buy into it, and you have to accept it. And I don't think there's really a good other way to like have this happen. And I like the fact that they do it like this way specifically. I think it
Yeah.
like works.
I think the best horror movies like this have a sort of gimmick or supernatural element that is really just like as minimized as possible, where it's
Yeah.
like you kind of just are presented with it, you accept it, and we don't need to build the whole story around the world that we're living in or the magical elements. It's just like, here's the one thing that matters for this story. which is the one Wish Willow. We don't care if the other crystals work or the other, witchy stuff. It's really just about this one thing that we care about.
And we know it works. It clearly has worked. It works immediately. So like that's all we need to know.
Yeah. And it works immediately because you see her immediately come out of her house and she's just standing there on the porch, and then comes over and has completely changed. She's just like,
It's so crazy.
Yeah.
Her like facial and like I'll say her face does some crazy things in this movie. Her body control is really interesting. And there's like some effects they use to like kind of make that like a little freakier as the movie goes on. But like genuinely like I'm like, Jesus, like back off. Like almost immediately. Like even when she's like not at like full scary mode.
yeah, you can immediately tell there's something off about her. I forget exactly how the rest of that scene goes down, but she ends up going back to his place.
So
because
what
she kinda just
happens
makes it happen.
she's like, you should come inside, and he's like, no, and I don't think that's a good idea. And then she's like, no, you should. And he's kind of like, is this the fucking thing working?
Yeah, he can
he's
tell
like-
that she's different.
Yeah, but again, like this is the part where you can like justify like him being like, there's no way this stupid thing I just hit made her a completely different person all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And so he's like, nah, I don't know if it's a good idea. And then she's like, well, I don't want to go home. Or like, I really like, we'll go to your place. And then she's like, well, my dad has cancer. And it's making me so sad that I don't, and I'm, not giving her justice to how well she delivers all
Yeah,
this
she
stuff,
starts
but
crying. She's like, I don't want to be alone, which is like the first line where you're like, okay, she's,
she's trying
kind
to
of
seduce
manipulate him at this
And-
point, but it's all under the curse, the spell.
And like this is when I want to get his name again. So Michael Johnston, like his performance here is so good, where he's trying to play the nice guy that like doesn't,
He doesn't want
like-
to take advantage of her.
doesn't. I don't want to take advantage of you. And we see later how much he ends up taking advantage of her. But, he lets her stay in his room, and he's like, I'm going to stay on the couch. She's like, stay in the bed. He puts his, he keeps his jeans on, and then lays on top
So
of the
funny.
bed, and then she kisses him, and then this is the first part where and tell me after if you started assuming what I ended up being correct, what I also assumed was correct, where they kiss and then she freaks the fuck out for a second.
Yep.
And I go, oh, so she's like in there still, like the real Nikki's in there still.
Yeah.
Like that's how I read it, and then you learn that that's what's true later on. But like that's like really freaky. That's like some freaky Nikki shit for sure. Like that is
Freaky
scary.
Nikki. Yep. Yeah, it's probably the first part in the movie where you're really like startled and you're like, holy shit, because she starts kissing him and you're like, okay, like this is where the obsession starts. And then immediately she starts screaming, pulls back, and I don't know if she says anything at that point, but Bear's kind of just like, what's going on? And then she snaps back into the cursed version, and she's just like, oh, I saw something behind you, like really, it's fine.
And I
he's
think
like,
importantly,
okay.
he's like, you kissed me.
Yeah, he was like, you just started kissing me, and like,
And I think that's really important in terms of like how he's viewing this in the moment of like, I did nothing wrong. I did nothing wrong to get you here. Like, this is your fault.
Yeah.
And I think that's informing a lot of how he's going to continue this. But I think a lot of the unsettling nature of this movie comes from knowing that like she's trapped in there, and like that's really unsettling to me. Like knowing that, and like the moments of outbursts of that are really freaky. The more I've thought about this movie and the more I've like read just a little opinions, I'm realizing more and more that this movie is a little bit about bipolar disorder. Not maybe 100%, but I've read that people who have dealt with people with BPD find this movie very like triggering or like difficult to sit through. And obviously it's
I can see
taken
that.
to like such an extreme, and I think it's more nuanced in terms of like the way she's kind of trapped and how she's a victim as well. But I think this movie at least does a good job of like horror BPD of like having someone who can kind of go from 0 to 100 and switch personalities and being really confused about how to handle that type of thing. And give it up to Indy again because her performance is just like ridiculous here, and like it just gets better and better as the movie goes on.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I didn't think of that as a parallel, but I can definitely see that. Yeah, and I also think it's kind of a commentary on not so much dating, but I guess like romance in this modern day and age, and kind of like true love versus infatuation, and actually feeling something for someone because of who they are, or just kind of wanting a relationship or wanting someone to notice you. So I think that's kind of the central theme of it. But yeah, there's a lot of different, interesting elements that you could project onto it as well.
Yeah, and then so he sleeps on the floor, and they go to work, and she's like staring at him a lot, and everyone's just kind of like,
He's talking to Ian for like 2 straight minutes, and in the background, you just see her
it's
like
awesome.
blurred out, but like her head is pointed directly at him.
Yeah. And then we find Andy Richter's the boss, which is just like, oh, nice to see Andy Richter, Conan O'Brien's sidekick. So that was fun. But they talk, and he's like, dude, you fucked her, right? You totally fucked her. And he's like, no, dude. And I think it's really telling that he like doesn't tell him about the One Wish Willow yet. Like, I feel like if I did that, I would be like, dude, I like ripped this thing, and it like, I don't know, man. Like, it can't be that, but like, I did this thing, right? And
Yeah.
he very actively doesn't mention it.
I think at this point he's still kind of in denial about it, like,
Yeah,
which I think kind of makes sense because if you don't believe in this like voodoo stuff, you're probably not going to totally buy that this just suddenly worked, even though Nikki's acting strange. And I think they kind
yeah,
of chalk it up to her being on like Molly or
MDMA.
something. Yeah. And she's
Yeah,
like, oh, she was just like on drugs and she was acting weird. And then later on, Nikki's like, yeah, I was on MDMA. Like, I don't remember much. Like, so sorry for, inconveniencing you and stuff. And so, he, Bear kind of has like somewhat plausible deniability at this point, but it only gets worse from here.
yeah. I think he has plausible deniability for like a bit of the early part of this movie, because again, like, how can you know this one thing would work so well? But as it gets on, and even before it gets really, really fucked up, like there's enough time where he's refusing to kind of take responsibility or like
Yeah.
acknowledge how far it goes. But so he's talking to Ian on the phone later at his house, and then she shows up at the door,
Hmm.
and in this like sexy little red dress, and she's like, "Oh, it's my only thing I had," and um, I forget exactly how it happens, but they sleep together, they hook up. I forget if anything else happens that night, but they hook up, and then he wakes up, and she had made him breakfast, but then also put the dead cat back in the kitchen with like sewn blood around it, like she had like made a bunch of like
She made this
yarn.
like memorial. Yeah, it was really kind of disturbing. And he was just like, Nikki, like, no, don't do that. And she was like, okay, I'm sorry. And he's kind of just like, this is where he starts kind of training her or like kind of treating her like a child.
It's very
Like,
just
we don't
like
do that.
weird.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's kind of disturbing.
It's a because yeah, now you're like, all right, this feels a little like this feels wrong,
At
and
this,
like
yeah,
the
at
way
this
he's
point you
treating her.
shouldn't like this part. You shouldn't
Yeah,
enjoy your potential girlfriend acting like this, but he's so kind of caught up in the attention that he's getting that he sort of just pushes past it.
and then so after this, we kind of get the montage where like they're having so much fun together, and it's like kind of normal, and I think this is after that.
Yeah, I think.
But then he learns they're at a diner and they're chatting, and he learns that she
So Ian calls him,
yeah, Ian calls.
and he answers, and he says that he finds out from, or he like researched it or something. He tried calling the hospitals and whatever,
Yeah.
but Nikki's father doesn't have cancer apparently, and which was kind of weird, I guess, to everyone, because apparently she doesn't have a relationship with her dad, and so he's kind of just Bear's kind of like, oh no, like they do now, and he doesn't really question it.
Yeah, and also like as the audience, I think we're all aware, like, yeah, her dad doesn't have cancer.
Yeah.
Like, it felt so out of the blue.
Yeah.
But when he interrogates her on this, she's like, "I love you more than," and he testing her was like, "Do you love me more than anyone in the whole world?" Which was his wish, and she's like, "Yeah, I do." And then he says, Why'd you lie about your dad?" And she stands up and starts screaming in the restaurant. Like, so many good upsetting
Oh,
moments.
she's like, it's so good because she's like, I thought we were having a nice time or something,
yeah,
and
like,
everyone
why
starts
are you trying
looking.
to ruin it? And like he has to be like calm her down. Like, no, we are having a nice time. And like, it is very disturbing. And I think this is a lot of like the BPD stuff a little bit too, or like at least like mental health stuff, where like you can think you're having a good time with someone, all of a sudden a switch flips and they're like a different person.
Yeah,
And that stuff is, it's very upsetting out in the open, but even more upsetting, I think, in the house when they're back together, because it feels very inescapable. In terms of like he can't do anything and go anywhere without a watching eye or without like tipping her off. But this guy just accepts. He's like, okay, fine. Like I want her so much, and there's after that scene, I think that scene they go home and have sex, and like you see her face, and like it's upsetting. Like there's something just very unsettling.
yeah. She just kind of lays
about-
there, and it's like, I don't know. It's not great.
It's not great. And then that's the night where he gets up and she's staring at him from
Yep.
the corner.
Which is
Totally freaks me out because
Yeah.
they do an effect, and I don't know how they do it. Maybe they just play the film in reverse, but she's like walking weird. She's like almost walking backwards.
yeah.
And
She
this
looks
very
possessed.
and this kind of like Lynch does that sometimes in some stuff. There's some of that in there. Very upsetting, disturbing. There's some of that in like Pulse, the Kurosawa film.
Yeah.
And it's really upsetting. And then this is, I think, also kind of the scary thing. So when I was a kid, I had really bad sleep paralysis, and I don't really have it as much anymore. But I think a lot of the things that scare me are based on how I felt having sleep paralysis as a child. And I think that moment where you're sitting there and you feel like there's something, or no, you feel like there's something watching you and you can't do anything about it, and you just have to
Yep.
sit there and like go to sleep. And they have that shot of him where she's like, "Go back to bed," and he's just like sitting there, and he is like terrified. And then she gets up, or like he turns again, and she's gone. And then she runs back into the room with like the flower pot. And I'm like, just what the fuck is going on
It's
here?
so bizarre. It's so
And
funny.
it's so tense. It is like very unnerving. I was like, how long is this scene gonna go? And then she gets back into bed, cuddles up to him. He tries to move, and she's like, "You're not going anywhere."
Yep.
Like,
Her like yelling at him out of nowhere, the many times that she does that, is always so funny and like startling.
yeah,
But yeah, the sleep paralysis thing is definitely on point. Like the way she's just standing there in the corner staring at him, and he kind of just like feels like he can't move, is yeah, it definitely feels like sleep paralysis. And yeah, she's just like killing it in this scene with the physicality of how she just like dances around, and yeah, she's
awesome.
very unsettling.
Her eyes are doing so much work. Her body is moving in such interesting
Yeah.
ways. Her voice, she has such a command over like how like the inflections in her voice. It's a like everything about this performance like is such a tightrope walk. And I feel like, yeah, in the hands of a lesser actor, this movie like literally does not work if that performance isn't like fully at a 10, like just
Yeah.
working.
It could come off
Um,
as so like corny or
yeah,
like silly, but it's a perfect balancing act.
and so I think how the movie goes after is after he wakes up, he's like, Nick, you can't be weird anymore. Like, stop being weird. And then he's going to leave, and the door's duct taped.
Like the whole door, total,
It's like
which was so
comically,
funny.
it's comic amount of duct
Yeah,
tape.
he turns to it and it's like supposed to be this ominous thing, and I was like, is that the kitchen? Did she block off the kitchen? I was like, oh no, that's the door to leave. And then he just kind of like pulls it open, and as he's going, she's like, oh, I guess you have to stay. And he's like, no, I got it. And he eventually gets it open, and I think she stands there the whole time, and then she pees on the floor as he leaves, which is just gross and terrifying.
And then later, when he comes home, you realize that she like pissed her or
She's
shit
like
herself,
vomited
and,
and like
vomited,
shit all. Yeah, it's just
yeah,
like
just sat there, like just totally disgusting. And so at work, Ian's like, dude, what's up with this? Like, this is just kind of weird, like the way you guys are moving and acting. And
also the
he's like,
cat sandwich.
the cat sandwich is so fucking disgusting.
It's terrible. Why would she do that?
Because
There's
it's
so many
this little
times, so many times in this movie, I was just like, oh,
monkey,
no, come on,
monkey's
like,
paw,
what are
man.
we doing?
I respect the level that Curry Barker's going to, just kind of making this like the most miserable time, like as I think it should be for a movie like this. And I'm like, my thought was like, damn, why is this cat still in the area? Like,
Yeah, why didn't we like bury it and give it like a little funeral? Like,
yeah, like why does she still have the
stop
cat?
bringing up the cat.
But Ian's throwing a party. He drives Bear drives Ian home, and he's like, "You didn't tell me about the party," and he's like, "Cause you're being fucking weird, dude. Like, yeah, like I'm not rocking like with what's going on with you guys, and like Nikki's being weird. It feels like you're taking advantage. Like everything he's saying, you're like, yeah, that like tracks. Like
Yeah.
I agree, but he's like, yeah, look, have a boys' night. Which it's funny how it doesn't turn out to be a boys' night at all, regardless. Like besides Sarah showing up, there's like 2 or 3 other girls that are there. Like
Yeah.
it is a party, but he's like, you just don't bring Nikki. And I think this, the scene he gets back, she's disgusting. She goes in the bathroom, and
She's
I
like, oh
found
yeah, I'll just clean up. Like, sorry.
I found this scene also really disturbing in terms of just like, you're so scared of your partner, and
Yeah.
like the way that he's like, I think I'm gonna go to Ian's tonight, and then you just hear banging and like screaming in
Yeah.
there, and then she's like something along the lines of like, well, Sarah told me she's going to the party. Like, if you don't want me there, like don't tell me. He's like, no, I want you there. Like, let's go. And then just they're at the party, and she's
Yeah. That scene's funny because I think you could hear the like faucet turn off in the shower, and
Yeah.
it's like the most dramatic faucet turn that
Yeah.
I've ever heard. Just like comes to a screeching halt.
This
And then
movie's
she's
really
just
good with its
screaming.
sound design.
It is, yeah.
Which is essential to any horror movie, and I do feel like they really nail it on this one in terms of like the intensity of like each sound, the slamming of doors, things like that, her yelling, like they handle that very, very well. And then this party scene is very upsetting and
But
funny,
before,
but
before the party, we missed the he calls the One Wish Willow customer support.
yes,
Which I think is in the trailer to a degree as well.
it's at the end of the trailer, which I was like, "Ugh, I wish it wasn't in the end of the trailer.
Yeah, and the guy on the other line is so funny because he's just like, "Hello, yeah," and he tells him that basically it's permanent unless Bear or Nikki dies. He's like, it's good as long as you live alive, and he's just like, okay, file that away for later, and then.
But I think that's smart in terms of like writing for a movie like this, because
Yeah.
it's like you establish again like the simplest of rules, and you kind of downplay them in the same breath.
Yeah.
Where it's like, this is all there is to this thing. You make a wish, it works. That's it. And then there's like the scary thing where like he starts hearing Nikki scream, and it almost feels like
Yeah.
you're hearing the actual Nikki.
Which I think you are. I think that's
Yeah.
that his like, yeah, like if you want to hear her, like
Yeah.
here's the real Nikki trapped,
Yeah.
wherever she is, and you just hear screams, and it's kind of like at this point he should definitely be like trying to get out of this situation, and like freeing the real Nikki, but he's just like so terrified at this point
But
of
so okay,
her.
like at this point, before the party where it and that night where it's even more disturbing, like why do you think he's still staying with her at this point? Like what do you think it is where he clearly like I want to cancel the wish. Like he's clearly not happy with what has
Yeah.
been going on anymore. Why do you think that he's still staying in this at this point? When I feel like he has this is like his last escape in terms of like I am still in a semblance of a good person.
Yeah. Well, I think before this part, and like it's kind of unclear how much time has passed, but maybe a couple weeks or so.
Yeah.
I think he is kind of goes from being in denial about how successful the wish was, and then he kind of accepts it and likes it for a while, and is willing to put up with the little bit of Nikki going crazy a couple times and yelling. And at this point, I think he's probably just too scared to do anything, or doesn't really like. And we see this in the beginning. He's like kind of unsure of himself. He doesn't really know how to like take action in his life.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of manifests
But
here.
again, I think he's using that as an excuse at this point in the movie, which I think is like kind of a good character writing where he knows who he is, his personality, that he's kind of a coward. And I feel like it's the type of person where it's like, even if you know you're wrong, but I'm this way. Oh, but I don't want to, whatever.
Yeah. Well, he definitely feels responsible for it.
Definitely feels
But
responsible, but he's not
so
handling it the right way.
no, he doesn't know what to do, and it kind of like this is where the atmosphere of just kind of dread and terror kind of is at its peak, where Nikki's just like a ticking time bomb. You never know what she's going to do, and you
Yeah.
could see it in Michael Johnston's performance, where he's just like living in fear of whatever she might do, because she's just so unhinged at this point that he doesn't know what to do. She won't leave him alone. It kind of feels like he's out of options to a degree. I think it takes him a little while to like get to some of the points where he's like, okay, maybe I go back to the magic store, try another wish.
Well, so
Things like
I have
that.
a thought about that. I'll get to in a sec. Where I think the real turning point is, but the party.
Yep.
Party honestly seems like kind of a cool house.
Way cooler than Bear's apartment.
I know. Well, it's like I think that guy's parents' house.
Maybe.
Because he says something about his dad having a gun or something, but maybe that's at the store. I don't remember. But it seems like a cool house. He seems just like it made me miss a house party, and like I go to like apartment house parties, but like a real house party.
Yeah, there's some
It's been-
space.
Yeah,
They're
it's
playing
nice.
drunk Jenga.
Yeah, like to walk around a little like that. I was like, oh, I miss that. But we get Sarah, we get the whole gang's there, a bunch of other people, and she's just being so weird at the party. And I think that there's a few interesting things in this scene that happen. A few, I think one is when she has her turn in Jenga and she reads the passage from her book she's written, and she essentially in the moment is telling Bear she knows he made a wish.
Oh, you think so?
I think so. 'Cause
Yeah,
the
there's
the
some
willow tree.
Yeah,
He
there's
mentions-
some hints at it for sure. But I
And
don't know if she directly knows, but
well, because I feel like as it goes on, she's like, "This is what you wanted, right?" Like, and he never even said anything. So I feel like, to some degree, this version of Nikki knows that he like wished for this, and in some way, this is her saying that in this kind of creepy, disturbing way about how much he loves her or she loves him. and then we get
Some
he
incestuous Hansel and Gretel stuff.
yeah,
Which was
really like
bizarre
I
and funny.
it was really good in terms of like the way it was written, where I was like, this is like
Yeah.
gross and
And
creepy.
the way
And
she delivers it too is
oh yeah,
it's like
and
she's making it sound like erotica and you're kind of just like, holy shit, like
well, you realize it's about him, and it
yeah.
makes him sound like a predator.
Yeah. And everyone at the party is just like, dude, like this is so weird. Like, why did you bring her?
It like incredibly disturbing,
All the
and
vibes are gone.
vibes are ruined. She like they both ruin the vibe by being there.
Yeah, he's just sitting there
like the
like,
chud he
this
is.
just
And then so it's his turn, and he gets kiss the person to your left. Of course he does. And Sarah's there, and then you get great cut to her face.
mean mugging, looking
Just
so
sad.
upset.
So
One
good.
of my favorite shots of the movie because the hard cut to that is just so funny. She's just like looks so
Well-
upset.
Well, I think the best part is you just hear her get up first,
Yeah,
and then you cut to that. And I think that's a really great like cut to have, like you see his reaction to her like react, and then you see her reaction finally, and you're like, uh-oh.
Yeah.
And then I love how it cuts back and you get her literally like pulling Sarah's chair
yeah.
all the
You're
way
like,
back.
what is she gonna do? Is she just gonna like knock her out? And Sarah's just like paralyzed. She's just not moving. Bear's kind of just like, oh god, like what's gonna happen? And then she plops herself right down to Bear, perks up her lips, and everyone's just
perking
like,
her
oh my
lips
god,
is so
it's so good.
it's so funny and it's so freaky because it's like obviously yeah he has to kiss her now, and it's like this is like I know she's an actor and it's all fine, but like I don't know how in the moment as an actor you're not so deeply uncomfortable having to like embarrass yourself that much. I was just getting so embarrassed for her in that moment, but you know I like the little peck he gives her, and then you know immediately she freaks the fuck out, falls
Again.
back, and it's like it's not me, and me, and then fall, and then she's like haha that was
She
so
like
weird.
breaks a
And-
bottle on her head. She starts like, yeah, the it's not me should have been the real like thing for everyone to be like, all right, like what's going
What-
on here? It's just not.
and like so disturbing, and like you know it starts
Yeah.
to I'd be like okay so like my hypothesis is probably correct, and it's like it's I mean just upsetting is the word I keep coming back to because it's really just hard stuff, upsetting, bone chilling, just really disturbing, and they nail it really well. She starts smacking the fuck out of herself with the bottle
Yep.
to like prove her love or something, or and then she says that thing about like I love him and I'll kill you all here, like I'm joking, like haha not really.
Yeah, she's like, she goes on this big monologue about how like no one will ever feel the way that she feels about him, and like,
Yeah.
and then everyone just kind of doesn't say anything, and then she's like, guys, I'm joking, haha, and
Okay,
everyone's still
okay.
silent, and then she's like, okay, I'm not joking, deal with
Yeah.
it, and it's just like, what do we do? It's so funny.
And yeah, like oh my god, it's like so. What I appreciate about all those scenes too is like it lets you sit in the awkwardness, but like he's always moving it along. He's always finding a new way to like keep it freaky, disturbing, something happening where you're not just like sitting in awkwardness. And she like cuts herself a bunch. For some reason, they won't admit her into the hospital. Maybe she won't get out of
Yeah,
the
he
car.
takes her to the hospital, and I think, yeah, they won't admit her probably because she doesn't want to go.
Yeah.
And they can't like I guess force her if she's not
Yeah.
like bleeding out.
So,
So they go back home. She threatens to kill herself, I guess. And then they go to bed.
There was also we're forgetting it, but there's the other. Is it this night? I think it's he is like I'm just gonna go to Ian's. I think we need some space, and she's like, okay, I'll just like stab myself, and she goes on this.
Oh
little
yeah, yeah, yeah.
monologue
She threatens to kill herself because she's
about
like
how like
she'll
how
slit her wrists and
like what it will feel like to slowly die. She starts like
yeah, it'll
describing
be warm
it,
and,
and
then
like
it'll be cold and,
like my hands will feel like bags of sand.
it's like
there's-
incredible amount of detail and very
Yeah.
like chilling where you're just like, all right, clearly can't leave this person alone. It's like, all right, I guess I got to stay here.
And so it hard cuts to them in bed together.
Yep.
Where she's like, laying on him.
Another
He gets-
effective editing choice. Yeah, she's got her arm around him, and he's just kind of laying there with his eyes wide open. Clock says 2:45 in the morning or something.
Yeah, and he gets the text from Sarah at 2:45, and honestly, bold of him to even answer it. I would be too scared.
It's so tense because you're like, if she sees the phone, like she's gonna like go crazy, and you're just like, you even in the audience, you're kind of just like feeling the dread of what if she wakes up? What if she sees this? Like it's
super
so tense.
effective.
Yeah.
The tension that is the key creates in like almost every scene is really really effective. And she texted if he doesn't leave, she's gonna come over, and obviously he doesn't want that because like
Nope.
she will freak out in some way. So he decides to leave and gets up. And this is the moment I had referenced earlier where I feel like it is the moment you really start to get an understanding of like where his head is at and like how he has turned and like made this about himself, where
Yeah.
the scariest part of the movie for me, or again maybe the most upsetting, is he gets up and he's tiptoeing to the bathroom and you hear bear and he's like, I'm just going to the bathroom, and you turn and she's like, no, it's me, it's Nikki, and
He's
like,
like,
no,
she's asleep. Or
and you're
something.
like, no, like you're Nikki, and he's like, no, like I something like, no, like she's asleep, like that's not Nikki.
It's
and-
the real Nikki is talking to her and talking to him, and the cursed persona is asleep.
And she's like, please kill me, please kill me, like I can't do this anymore. And this is the most fucked up line in the movie, where he goes, what is so wrong with being with me?
Yeah.
And that's really where it clocks in, where he is created this such a weird headspace for himself that he is still willing to like live through this with this version of Nikki, almost like mad at her for not like wanting to be with him earlier, even though it's his fault and it wasn't going to work. And then she says, like, what's wrong? And he goes, I've never been with you, which is so disturbing.
Yeah.
And,
it's not even her that's with them.
And
It's,
this, I mean,
she's
first
trapped
off,
somewhere.
like trapped, and I start thinking about how it's like essentially like he has been assaulting this woman's body for weeks and weeks without actual consenting to her, and the way he's kind of ignored all of that, and the fact of knowing she's trapped in there and like living and like almost like in that moment you're like has to keep living it, and he won't like save her, unquote, is so disturbing, and I think really nails what this movie is like going for at its core. And that maybe the most effective scene in the movie for me, and it gets at kind of so much of like the nucleus of it.
Yeah. So do you think before this he doesn't realize that the real Nikki is like trapped away? Because I think there's the part where she, I guess like way in the beginning, where she first turns and kind of freaks out, but she doesn't say anything. And then at the party where she says, it's not me. That should really be like the moment that it clicks for him. And then maybe this is like where it now really confirms that it's not the real her. And then his tune kind of changes where it's like, okay, I guess I, have to get her out of this somehow.
Yeah, I read it as, you can maybe read it as she's changing. Maybe not that she is trapped, but that her like changing, and it's like her brain is still calibrating maybe to that change. And that, so like, I think the fact that she's trapped in there would not be the first thought necessarily, that maybe she's just being weird because of this wish and like her brain is kind of just being a little fried. But then you get the confirmation of that, and we know what he does later, and we'll get to that. But I don't see it like him being like, I need to save her. I think it's him being like, I'm living with this now. Like the fact that he does not kill her in that moment speaks more to, I think, his brain of like almost like, how don't you want to be with me? Like, how, why am I so bad? I think it's where he kind of really turns into a villain in that moment, where like he has a moment in the fucked up way of like killing her to save her from this curse that he knows is so fucked up, and she is like such a mess, and she's so manic. And I don't know if it's after this or before this where he's like, I want you to be Nikki, and she's like, I think it's after this, but um he knows now, and he's choosing not to deal with it, and he's choosing to let her be trapped. And I think that's, the moment where he crosses over to like being fully responsible for her, well-being or whatever. And then so he goes to the park, and he still won't tell Sarah what's up. Like, he's acting like it's normal still, and this is really where I start to be like, okay, this is like a bad person now, because he knows she's who she is now. He knows like what is happening. He doesn't know what to do about it, but instead of confiding in his friend, he is just kind of like, perpetuating the lie. Oh, Nikki's dad is still sick. I don't know. There's stuff going on with her, like covering for her instead of owning up to it in some way. Like, he's choosing to accept the reality he's created.
Yeah. He's trying to figure out, like, I guess how he can still keep this going or make it better somehow. And going back to the part where she's like, kill me, even if that were like something that he wanted, I think he's too much of a coward to really do it.
Totally.
But yeah, and that this also has the reveal that that Sarah tells him that Ian and Nikki have been like casually hooking up for like 2 years, and that they're like have been hiding it from Bear, which was a detail that I don't really think is needed in the film. I think it's trying to, give a little bit extra twist to, hurt Bear, and, maybe give some like nefarious motivations to Ian. But I don't know that it really like, it feels kind of like tacked on at this point in the film. I think the stakes are high enough.
I agree. I think the only reason it works more than that is because it justifies Ian's confused reaction even more, in terms of like, we've been casually hooking up. I know what's really going on, but now all of a sudden you're like head over heels for this guy you didn't care about. Like, that's really weird. And I think that it helps contextualize that stuff a lot more, like why he would be even like more confused.
But she's so like changed at this point that I think even if they weren't hooking up, it would still be jarring enough to be like, okay, what's up? But I also think, the reveal could be like, it's Sarah kind of putting out her own, like, because she's also hinting that she has feelings for Bear. And so she's kind of like, Nikki hid this from you, and like, has been going behind your back for years with Ian, like, that kind of like trying to knock Nikki down a little bit to maybe boost herself up a bit.
Yeah, but I also think it speaks to the fact that he is also been like an oblivious loser to a degree that we didn't even realize before. I think, to me, that, like, again, it's not like necessarily like a vital twist, but I kind of like it in the sense of like, it recontextualizes that his friend kind of sucks, and like, actually was kind of, fucking him over behind his back, when he should have just been like, hey man, like, we've been hooking up, and like, she's not into you, like, I'm really sorry. Like, clearly Sarah likes you, and clearly I think if like you took the time to like not consider Nikki a thing, you like her too, and that could be something. Or Sarah likes you too, like that could be a thing. Instead, he is like, whatever, and then, she's not saying anything to him, also clearly, because I think she knows he likes her too. Like, they're clearly like not saying something for a reason. And I think that makes him feel even more of like a cuck in a sense. And like how he's just been like this really dorky, weird, not like loser, but just like someone who is just not like on the level really. And I think that twist really encapsulates like who this guy was before the One Wish Willow and why he almost maybe feels justified to do it or to have done it in some way. Not that it's good at all, but
Also, I don't see Ian and Nikki together at all, even like in a casual way.
I only see it in the sense of like small town. He is like a confident guy, and he probably just put the moves on her, and she's like, yeah, whatever. Like it's something.
I
Like
guess.
I can see it even if it's weird. It feels very much like a SEC relationship,
Yeah,
like a
she's
college.
way out of his league.
Like yeah, but I just think it's like it's small town. Like he's like he's like funny and like confident and like we work together, so like I'm around him all the
Sure.
time. Sure,
Just easy.
Like yeah, because it seems like they're hooking up, like they're not dating.
Yeah,
Um,
but still.
yeah. You
Anyway.
know, if I could believe in the One Wish Willow, I can believe that those two hooked up.
I don't know. I don't know if I could suspend my disbelief to that
She is
degree.
that beautiful, but
She is. Yeah.
Um,
But anyway, here she
they-
comes out of nowhere.
well, so first they're about to read the letter. And
Oh, yeah,
about her
which-
school, whatever. But it's like at least table setting for I think what a movie like this could be good at is there's a whole other world that could exist if like she goes to the school, they start like a thing, and then to immediately take it away.
Yep.
Here comes Nikki, smashing Sarah's face in with a brick.
With a brick. Yeah, she breaks the window, holds a brick up. Just the most gruesome. Well, yeah. I mean, later on there's something too, but pretty gruesome. Like completely decimates her face, and I guess this is what earned it the NC-17 rating. They had to take out a couple of the smashes.
Yeah, apparently 6 or 7 smashes were removed. It was longer.
Yeah.
Um,
Pretty brutal. Bear's kind of just like tucked away in the corner of the passenger seat. Like, holy shit! Like, she's dead. Damn. Like, Nikki's officially like crossed the line, even for her. Where it's now like we have murder.
and
This is
she
the
makes
breaking point.
and she makes him like clean up the body with her, and then
Or first she's like, she offers to take care of it, I guess. And
yeah, they're sitting in the store, and she's like, "Go home, I'll finish up."
yeah.
And I think he goes to the store to get I forget the timeline.
He drives up to like some overlook, opens the letter, sees that
Yeah.
Sarah got into the school that she wanted to, and then I think he ends up at Ian's. Like, I guess it's the next morning at this point.
Yeah, the next morning.
Oh, and he goes and gets more One Wish Willows.
Well, this
'cause
is
at
what I
this
was
point
talking
he's
about.
trying
Because like,
to-
what time is the store open? Because all that stuff was happening, so he must go in the morning, like right in the morning.
Yeah. The timeline's
Yeah.
a little hazy, but
Right
yeah, he
there.
must go in the morning. New guy at the counter is just like, oh
Another
yeah,
funny guy.
I already used my wish, and he's like, you can't come in here with all this bad energy, man. Like, what are you doing?
I
He's
like the
covered
part-
in blood. He's just like
Yeah.
disheveled.
I like where he's like, dude, we don't have those. I don't know. He's like, JK, they're right there.
Yeah, you're like, oh no, like, was this like a one night thing only? And like, he only,
Yeah.
they're not like a thing that he can get, and you're kind of going through in your head like, what is he gonna do? There's no more of these. Like, it was just kind of a, I don't know, like a hidden thing in the store.
Yeah.
And it's just like, oh no, they're right there. There you go. It's a good fake out.
It was a great fake out, and I like that this guy knows the rules, and like this is again a part where it's like, oh, we've accepted the rules of this world. There are wishes. This thing does work
Yeah.
for some reason. Just this thing works. This is some magic. It works. I used my wish. You used your wish, and I like that he tries to break it, and you can't actually break it. I
Yeah.
think that's a good way of describing like, oh, you can't try it and it just doesn't work. It's like you are not allowed to anymore.
Yep. So he goes to Ian's house, and he's trying to get Ian to do it. And Ian kind of doesn't believe anything he says, and Bear's like,
I
I,
mean,
know
why
about you
would
and
he?
Nikki. Yeah, well, it's kind of frustrating because like you would you would hope that like his friend would believe him and it explains some of the stuff that Nikki's been doing. But I think he kind of really loses him when he brings up the like he's like, I don't even care about you and Nikki hooking up, and he's like, oh, so like this is what it's about, and he gets kind of defensive
Yeah.
and ends up breaking it and wishing for $1 billion, which then rains from the ceiling immediately.
Such a good effect. Like,
Great effect.
and he like falls to the ground, Bear falls to the ground,
And
and
he's like, he looks at him like, he's like, now do you believe me? And also like, I hate you for doing it. Now I gotta
but
find
also,
someone else.
also it's like this is the one thing that could save all of this, and you ruined it. Like we could have been free of all of this. I'm trying to fix my mistake now, and I can't.
Yeah.
And like one of my friends is dead. This girl is clearly like, well, it has to be stopped now.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes home. She's
Which
waiting.
bad idea. You should have found someone else.
Yeah.
There's only 5 people in this world, so he's like, okay, I've gone through, the first couple, and now I guess Nikki's the only person left. It's like you could have gone to like I don't know
But
Sarah's
no, I
dad
do
or
get
something
it in
like
the sense of like she loves me. She'll have to listen. She'll do it for me. I understand the logic in the moment.
yeah. It's
Of
not the
like
worst idea, but
it's not the worst idea, and he's clearly like in a crazy mental state.
yeah,
And I guess he's also worried is like, is someone going to make a wrong wish?
yeah.
Because
Like,
now this
it
guy,
just happened again with Ian.
yeah. So he goes home. She's like, looks, terrifying. She has like these marks on her. She like looks,
She's like
Freak.
strung up Sarah's body in a chair.
yeah,
And
that's
it's like
freaky. Her like tits,
disgusting
her
looking.
tits are
Yeah, she's
out. Like,
naked. Her
yeah,
head is like completely bashed in still. She's like,
it's disgusting.
yeah, it's like a murder. It's like one of those like dead body like they like fashion it in a way where it looks kind of like
Yeah,
a
and
weird sculpture or something.
and
Yeah,
like the energy, the tension, the like the sounds, everything is so high and heightened. And I think this is where he starts being like, "I want you to be Nikki," and she's like, "I am Nikki. This is what you wanted," or something like that. And it's just like very much he's trying to convince himself for her to like be the like version of whatever. And they probably had this fight, I think, earlier in
yeah.
the movie
She's
too.
like, this is what you wanted. This is what you wished
Yeah.
for. And he's like, not really, but
you
it's
know,
like
and
it's not Nikki body and soul. It's just Nikki body. Some text there about you know I guess
consent.
lust and consent
Yeah.
and yeah, and just like you wanting women for their bodies or for
Yeah.
just the appeal of having like someone on your arm and not actually like
Yeah.
for who they are.
Yeah. So like at this point you're like, well, what the fuck can we even do? And then Ian comes in. He's like, dude, like, come, I have a
He's
million
like, I got $1 billion.
And then she immediately shoots him in the head.
So
Boom.
good.
Chekhov's gun, it goes off.
So funny.
Which I think she got at the store. I think the thing was that there was a gun at the store that they talk about early in the movie.
Yeah. Where did so did he? Oh, the gun from the music
From
store.
the music store. He
Okay,
mentions
so
earlier,
Nikki
he's like,
took
did you
that.
know his dad has like a gun here?
Okay,
And
yeah.
I was like, oh, so there's a gun later in the movie. And yeah, it goes off and shoots him right in the head, which I'm like, all right, yeah, why not? Pack it on. Pack
Yeah.
on the
Let's get
bullshit.
Ian out of here.
And like they're freaking out. He, doesn't know what to do in this situation. So he goes into the bathroom, leaves the one Wish Willow outside. No, I think forgetfully. In the haze
He's got
of
the
it.
gun.
He's got the gun. We think he's gonna shoot himself. And in this moment, I'm like, be kind of cool if he shot himself. Like he probably
I
deserves to
thought
shoot
that
himself.
there was going to be no bullets in it. That's what I thought was going to happen. It was
That
just going to
could've been.
click, and he was just going to be like, I can't even kill myself now. But he chickens out, of course.
Chickens out,
But
of course.
takes the pills.
And
Chekhov's
You know,
oxycodone.
Chekhov's oxycodone, and he takes the pills, and you're like, okay, so like she'll, be alive in some way, like kind of a, interesting ending. And then he starts to, try to like throw him up, and you're like, this motherfucker. I'm like, Jesus Christ, like,
Yeah.
and but then
You hear the music.
and you're like, wait, this is actually interesting. And he starts smiling and he stops. And you're like, she broke the one wish
Yep.
Willow and wished the same thing on him.
So he comes out, he's all happy. They
They're
have like a little
they're
kiss,
happy together,
and then he overdoses.
which is awesome.
Perfect.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. And she's about to kill herself because
Yeah.
he's dead. And then right before the gun's about to click, she wakes up out of the
Spell wears off.
the trance, and she starts freaking out.
She's
You
just
know,
like, what is
I mean,
this?
she doesn't even see Sarah yet, but this guy is overdosed on the floor. Her other friend has a bullet through the head at the doorway.
There's crazy shit everywhere.
It's
There's blood
everywhere. I think
guts.
there's probably more of the cat somewhere.
Probably.
Yeah.
Who knows? It's just carnage
There's like
everywhere.
that. Yeah, there's like that shrine to them on the table.
Yeah.
And you're just like, Jesus Christ, this is like horrible. And the camera kind of flips, and you're like, yeah, movie over.
Yeah, and she sits there for a while just crying, and I was like, as we were leaving, I was like, Nikki, just get out of there. Like, you don't need to be there anymore.
I don't know, man. Like,
It's funny.
and yeah, so good movie, and I think
Really good
again,
ending too.
having good ending and having talked through it again, I think really solidifies it. Like, I think best outcome narratively for a movie this simple. I think just like effective, smart, good use of the one wish Willow. I think it nails kind of the bleakness of the story, and sometimes I don't like a horror movie. Like, so I've seen all the Final Destination movies, and if you've never seen the Final Destination movies, it's these characters escape death, and then death is after them. Death's design is after them and finding elaborate ways to kill them because they're trying to escape death. And the thing with FD movies is pretty much there's a few ways to like escape death, but you can't really escape death, which is fine. But it also, like, I like there to be a way out. Like, I like there to be a version where it's like you can escape this somehow. Like, there's one way or something. And I like that there's a way out in the story. And obviously it's just killing yourself, but like, or killing or dying, but like, it's an effective way of using that. Of like, you made this wish, and like, because it's your wish, you have to die for it to stop. Or I guess she has to die to not be affected.
Yeah, it's a little more narratively satisfying that
Yeah.
he dies and not Nikki.
I agree.
I joked in my Letterboxd review that if it were me, I would have blown her head smooth off, which I probably wouldn't have. I would have probably tried to find a way to reverse the curse or something. But there's a couple points in this movie where you feel the desperation of Bear, and you're just like, oh man, you gotta just kill her,
Yeah,
it's an option, but he can't do that.
Yeah, and like, how sad would it have been of like this poor girl like this guy turns her into a thing, and then his creation he makes is so upsetting that he kills her. Like,
Yeah,
what a fate that would have been.
It would've been-
I
it'd
mean,
been
she's
rough.
still fucked forever. Like, her life is ruined forever, and she's but like, yeah, like, really tense, really freaky. I think the scares are really effective, and he's not using just cheap jump scares. Like, it's really about like sound design and atmosphere,
Yeah.
and kind of building up not even just like the physical distress, but like the really like psychological, emotional distress of both characters that creates something that's like very haunting and feels like very primal in its fear.
yeah.
I guess, do you have any other final thoughts on the movie?
I don't know. I'm glad it's getting good reception. I hope it continues to be talked about throughout the year. Yeah, it was really good. I liked it a lot. I think I'm going to be thinking about it for a while too. Just like Bear's character, and like how kind of you want to root for him, but he's not really making all the right decisions, and you don't really feel like his intentions are good. even though he comes across as like, you know, a normal kind of meaning well guy, and yeah, it's in the text that he's got some issues with how he views Nikki as a person, or if he, you know, not wanting to be with her for her and more just like the idea of her, I guess. And so
Yeah.
it's a pretty interesting text, and I know there's a lot more coming out about it as the movie just was released this weekend. So I'm interested to kind of hear Curry Barker talk more about, you know, his process for writing it and writing these characters.
Yeah, the one thing I watched like a clip on Twitter of him talking about it, and I mentioned it earlier, but of him just really dialing in on Nikki being a victim, like
Hmm.
understanding that she has to be the like antagonist and the victim at the same time. And like he clearly balances that well because you know the way, at least the way we see it, like
Yeah.
you feel for her really badly while knowing that she is like a scary, terrifying, like creation all of a sudden. And like him acknowledging that and knowing that going into it, I think was really like essential to making this movie click.
Yeah. It's so much more effective than like a witch who's like terrorizing and killing people, but then you find
Yeah,
out that like she was like, you know, been trapped for like 200 years and forced to do this or whatever.
yeah,
It's way more like kind of narratively satisfying to see it play out this way, where you meet her as Nikki at first, you see kind of how, you know, sparkly she is and just like a very charismatic person, and then to see the turn into she's trapped, you know, you get the couple glimpses of her trying to the real her trying to get out, and yeah, Bear's inability to really like have compassion for that part of her and
yeah,
try to free her from this. And you know, to some degree I get his desperation where it's like, well, either I kill her or I kill myself, but he does kind of take his time trying to figure out like, okay, maybe I can wish for something else, or maybe there's a way to reverse this. He
yeah.
it takes a
He
while to get
almost
to that
figures it
point.
out with the One Wish Willow. To be fair, he almost gets there. His
Yeah,
plan is ruined.
but yeah, I think
Um,
at some point during the film, you stop kind of being on his side, where you're like, okay, at this point, you should be trying to get rid of this, trying to get this curse off of her. You know, it's pretty clear that this is not what you wished for in the sense of what you wanted, and he doesn't do it. And so you're kind of just like, you got to sit with not only what Nikki's doing, but his kind of inability to absolve the situation.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Just a good like good horror movie. Yeah, scary,
I kind of want to see it
funny,
again.
entertaining. I don't know. I want to take some time before I see it again because
Yeah.
I was really freaked out. Like I feel like I need a little time to like process it still
Yep.
and then go back to it. Maybe I'd like watch it with like people that hadn't seen it at some point.
Hmm.
But I think I didn't make this my letterbox review, but I almost made it like, you know, in a positive way, like terrible time, like a terrible time at the movies, just you know, bad all around bad vibes, but in like the best way
Yeah.
possible. Just watching like the worst thing happen to like this woman, and just feeling like you're just like, oh, this is just like a rough hang, and
But
then
it's
which
so
makes it
funny
so
too.
effective.
It's just
Yeah,
it balances that line too, where like it's it's disturbing the more you think about like this
yeah,
the spell of that she's under, but like what she's
yeah,
doing as a performance is so funny, and just a lot of the moments where you're just sitting there like, oh my god, like what is about to happen? Like what are you
yeah.
doing? And it's really fun.
And so the one thing I wanted to talk about actually before we wrap up a little bit is like in putting this film in the span of, or like the scope of other more recent modern horror movies. So like I feel like this one really moves to the top of the list for me. in terms of like the modern horror space. And looking back, I think you if you want to start around the time of like Hereditary and the Babadook in terms of like the term elevated horror becoming like a thing, and then that kind of you know making it so that these horror movies are kind of more about like trauma and stuff, but they're like well made. But then the kind of that term has also now been kind of shifted because a lot of horror filmmakers, they don't actually like that term, and it's like a little degrading to the form itself, which I agree with. So you kind of get that, and now we're in a phase where horror, in the early 2000s it was big but it was schlocky, and then it was like big but kind of well made and intricate, and now we're at a part where it's kind of both, where it's like relatively always well made to a degree, but you kind of get like the faux like deep movies, and then you get like the actual interesting horror movies. And I feel like now horror is in an interesting space where there's a lot of cool people making horror movies, but there's also like a lot of like very samey horror movies. Like we were talking about it yesterday, but like Undertone is a movie I saw a few months ago, and it's like, what if there was a scary podcast? And it's okay. I respect it for like the small budget thing that it is, but I feel like that type of thing has become bigger now, where it's like, you have like one little hook. Okay, we'll make like a $1 million kind of like little thing out of it.
There's a lot of stuff being greenlit, and a lot of young, independent voices coming to the table to kind of take their shot at a feature, which I think is really cool that a lot of people are getting the opportunity. So I think we're getting a lot of unique, interesting takes on the genre. Not all of them land, and then there are still some like more studio kind of horror movies that are being made that are a little more schlocky. But I do think, as one of the most successful financially genres, there's a lot more people willing to give new voices a chance for
Totally.
not a lot of money to create something that is going to be financially successful, but also a lot of critical appraise. And we're seeing a lot of new and interesting people.
Yeah, and then like a few movies that I think maybe like tonally are like in the vein of like, I guess, this kind of Blumhouse thing, but like this I feel like is more of like, I'm just looking at things I've seen on my letterbox that kind of feels somewhat in tone. Like Undertone is something I think Together, a movie I did not like at all, but very like, what if two people like became connected like physically.
Didn't see that one. I heard it was too bizarre and creepy.
It wasn't even creepy. I thought it was just plain bad. Sorry, that movie.
The body horror stuff, I'm not a huge fan of.
It's just not even like interesting body horror to me. It's just boring.
Mm-hmm.
Even though that's a genre I'm trying to be better about watching, because I think those movies get interesting. That was a boring one. The Monkey a little bit, but that's a Stephen King thing, so that feels specific to itself. You have like Immaculate, which is like okay. This Sydney Sweeney like horror nun movie, that's like, again, like what if a nun had the devil kind of thing. Like, not that we haven't seen that, but like,
I feel like that's been done.
It's just like a new take on like, that, where there's so many of these being pumped out that it's kind of hard to tell which one is going to be good actually, or like stand among the rest, especially when it's like a newer voice. So, or I think a good example of one that's also good, Talk to Me. I haven't seen their newer one.
I've heard it wasn't as good, but
Bring Her Back. I do want to see it. The Philippou brothers.
I think Longlegs was a pretty good one that came out in the last couple years that I think did a good job, similar to Obsession, of just creating a really tense atmosphere.
That one to me is a little different because it's, I guess, like a detective movie too, and it has like a bigger budget underneath it. But again, I think you're right in terms of like a big movie that did really well has an atmosphere. I do like that movie. Yeah, Talk to Me, I think, is another one of like YouTubers that end up making like an A24 or whatever horror movie.
Yeah,
And like,
we also have Backrooms coming out later this
yeah,
month, which I'm
yeah,
excited for.
very excited about that too. I guess you can call Barbarian a little bit.
Yeah,
What if there was a scary basement? That's like another good one. There's a lot of good stuff in this space, but there's also a lot of stuff where it's hard to tell what's actually going to be scary and what's just going to be like kind of a fun little gimmicky movie. And it's nice to see one of these movies like really, really work for both of us.
yeah.
Okay, so we're back. Album of the week. Maybe not a super exciting pick this week, but I'm going with "Room on Fire" by The Strokes because their Spotify released like for their anniversary a thing of like your number one song ever or like a bunch of stuff like that, like first song ever, most listened to artists, and then like a playlist of like your most listened to songs. And my most listened to song on Spotify is "Under Control" from this album. And I love that song so much. I think it's such a fun, catchy song. This was not an album I was into when I was younger as much as Is This It? Just because I was like, oh, Is This It? It's like the album. And that album is one of my favorites. But this has grown on me as the years have gone on, like a ton. I think it's been appropriately just get some good look at it. Appropriately reappraised as like another masterpiece by them. If you listen to it now, I think you give it a listen or two, you're like, oh wait, this thing rips. It's so good. And their new album comes out soon, and I'm a little nervous. I haven't loved the single, so we'll see. But yeah, Under Control, like maybe my favorite Stroke song up there, like top 2 or 3. I Can't Win is a great song. Automatic Stop, obviously Reptilia is like their most famous song. A lot of great songs on this. So yeah, listen to Under Control and Room on Fire.
Reptilia is a banger.
A classic song.
All right, 4K of the week. We're going with a classic, Babylon, baby. Of course. Look at that. And I got the nice steel book here.
You freak.
Just a chaotic movie. I only had 5 to choose from because I only brought 5 discs home. But watched this the other night with my mom. She wanted to watch it. She requested that I bring this home and we watch it. She hated it. She thought it was just terrible and too much going on, and didn't like Margot Robbie's character at all, which I don't think you're really supposed to. I think you're supposed to just kind of watch her and be like, damn,
yeah,
she's going for it. She's, chaotic and mesmerizing. But yeah, she didn't like it. And I was telling you this last night, but
yeah,
my whole family came in for the last like 10 minutes. So my dad and sister were watching just the montage and the crazy clips, and then the bleeding of watercolor into the film and just flashing lights. And I was just sitting there like crying, like, this is so beautiful. And they were all just like, what is this? This is so weird. And I was just like, you guys don't get it. You don't get it.
Yeah, I'll leave
Anyway.
my Babylon thoughts for another day.
Masterpiece.
But
Maybe we'll do this one day.
maybe one day.
Deep dive
We have
Babylon.
3 hours.
4.5 hour podcast.
The longest podcast ever.
Yeah.
So that's it for this week. Go see Possession. Go see Possession. Great movie.
Obsession.
Love that movie. But go see Obsession. Great movie. Tell us what you thought about it if you saw it. Go follow us on YouTube, subscribe, comment on Apple
comment,
Podcasts.
subscribe.
Do all that stuff. Apparently, it helps boost us. So
Follow us on Letterboxd.
Yeah, follow us on Letterboxd. I'll try to link that at some point down in the comments and stuff. But thanks for listening, guys, or watching, and we'll see you next week.
See you next time.